Hi, I'm Chef Shellie from KitchenCUE. Today we are going to become one with the technique of cooking beans. For many, many weeks I have gratefully received a little bag of organic dried beans in my CSA box. They've come in a variety of colors, and while I've cooked some of them, I, like you, haven't fully incorporated them into my cooking repertoire yet because of the sweltering summer temperatures we've been having. It's really hard to get enthusiastic about cooking a pot of beans for 2 hours on your stove when it's 100 degrees outside. But lucky for us, they have a very long shelf life. And once the weather cools off a bit, you are going to want to cook up these beans. Trust me, they are so delicious. They are the best beans that you will ever have. And I want to give you the skill to do that when you're ready. Cooking beans is super easy, and it only really requires 30 minutes of your hands-on time. There's just 4 steps. We clean them, we rinse them, we soak them, and then we cook them. Here we have some red beans. All you want to do is put them onto a flat surface and look for any small stones or debris. Honestly, I've never found one, but I always look just in case. And then I take the beans and I put them into a colander and rinse them. Just rinse them with cold water. And then I put them into a container to soak them overnight. Now pour them in a container that is at least twice as big as the quantity of beans that you're going to be soaking. So here we have about a cup and a half, and this is a 4-cup container. I'm going to cover them with water and put them in the refrigerator overnight. Now, soaking beans does a couple of things. 1, it significantly reduces the cooking time on the stove. But 2, it also helps to break down those compounds that make eating beans a challenge for some people. Those gas-producing compounds break down in the water, so the longer it soaks, the better. So it's nice to have them go overnight in the fridge. So here are some beans that we soaked last night. These are black beans. We covered them by 2 inches of water, and you can see the beans have absorbed most of that water. So what we're going to do now is drain off any excess water, put our soaked beans into our pot, and then take them over to the sink, fill them up to cover by at least 2 inches. Then onto the stove, high temperature. We want to bring them up to a boil. So while the beans are coming to a boil, this is a good opportunity to prepare what I call the aromatics. And those are things that cook along with the beans to give them a nice foundation of flavor. Minimally, I add onion that's just been roughly chopped, a couple cloves of garlic that I've smashed with the back of a knife, some bay leaves, I always have those on hand, and if I have any herbs like rosemary or thyme, some parsley stems, I'll throw those in as well. You can also throw in spices like cumin or coriander or paprika. Those get nicely absorbed into the beans. But you don't want to add any salt, and you don't want to add any acidic ingredients at this point in time. Acidic ingredients like vinegar or lime juice, lemon juice, tomato product, because those ingredients will inhibit the beans from becoming tender. We'll add those once the beans become tender. So when the beans come to a boil, there might be some foam that collects on the top of the beans. Just go ahead and take a ladle and skim off that foam. Discard it. This is why I reserve adding the aromatics until after the beans come to a boil, so that you can skim off that foam before you put them into the pot. Stir them in. And then take a lid, partially cover, go to a simmer. In about an hour and a half, I would go back and check the beans for tenderness. If they need a little bit more time, you can keep them cooking. If they're tender at that time, you can go ahead and add the salt and then take them off the stove and cool them in the bean liquid that you've cooked them in. We call this bean liquor, and we always want to cool and store the beans in this bean liquor. So now you can go ahead and discard the aromatics. So pull out any cloves of garlic or pieces of onion or bay leaf that you find in here. Okay, and now what? I have this huge pot of beans. What do I do with them? Well, here's a few ideas. Right off the top, I like to skim off a cup or so, put them into my little food processor, and make a bean hummus with some olive oil and some lemon juice. There's the bird again. Some olive oil, some lemon juice, some cumin maybe, a little bit of the bean liquor to get a nice consistency, and then I use that to dip vegetables into. But if they're stored in your refrigerator in their liquor, they'll keep for 3 to 5 days. And you can use them cold on top of a salad. They're a great source of protein, vitamins, minerals, fiber. You can also put them into a rice salad or a quinoa salad. I like to take off a couple of scoopfuls in the morning, saute them maybe with some vegetables, some red onion that we get in our CSA box, some zucchini, maybe season with a little bit of cilantro, add a little bean liquor and make it saucy, serve it with a tortilla. It's delicious. Or you can just toss them in a nice vinaigrette like I have here. This vinaigrette is a smoky paprika lime vinaigrette. The recipe will follow the video and also will be on the Grant Family Farms website. And so you just take the beans, they can be warm or cold, and put them into the vinaigrette. And then I thought it might be fun to add a little corn since that's coming into season now. I love our Olathe corn. Some scallions, we get that in our box every week. Clearly some cilantro. This is a great use for the cilantro that we've been receiving in there. A little bit of salt and stir that up. As with all vinaigrettes, this can marinate in the fridge for certain overnight, or you can serve it immediately. So now you can put this beautiful salad into a bowl. And while it's a meal in and of itself, you can also use it as an accompaniment for grilled chicken or fish. Now all beans are cooked the same using this same technique. However, you can cook beans in a pressure cooker. The time savings is huge. It only takes about 30 minutes. The only downside to it is that the bean liquor doesn't become quite as luscious. But whatever method you want to use to cook beans is the method I think you should use. So remember the 4 steps. We just clean them, look for any debris, rinse them off, soak them overnight, and boil them in a pot of water with a few aromatics until they're tender, and then add the salt. For more information on all of the cooking techniques that you need to know, visit my website at KitchenCUE.com. I'll see you in the kitchen. So the longer the beans stay in the water, the more those gas-producing compounds break down. So put them in the fridge overnight. We're up at the farm, and that was a bird.
Oh, that is hysterical.